And we're live. Welcome back to the Loopcast. Today, joined by Erika and Josh. As always, we are here live Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 11 Eastern time. And we all witnessed what happened on Sunday. We didn't have to think too hard about what we're going to talk about today. Very much one of those moments where you'll always kind of remember where you'll be when you got that news. And before we get into everything here, as we're going to kind of cover all the angles, I'm going to make a quick request. I'd really like to take this opportunity to offer some prayers for the repose of the soul from the man who lost his life during the assassination attempt in Pennsylvania. So his name is Corey Compatore. He died protecting his family, threw them down and covered them. A real life hero. There's already GoFundMe started for his family, but I just cannot think about. We saw a lot of courage under fire at this event. That's how every man with a family hopes they would respond to that type of event. His daughter, really tearful post on Facebook, said he was a great dad, always a great dad to her, loved him so much, was his real life hero, and really went out as a hero here. So please just ask for prayer for the repose of the soul. Up top, first off, that is what the best we can do right now. Unimaginable tragedy to this family and the two others where people were injured. But as we continue on the show, I guess where we start here, Erika, I just had, where, what, when, and why, and then we can get into a little bit more. I see we have more people than usual in the chat today. Welcome, everyone. We do this, as I said, every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. If you could, leave a like, subscribe, stick around, and we're going to get into it here. Erika, what happened at this rally in Pennsylvania?
Yeah, so we're going to run some of the footage here, and it is shocking if you haven't seen it yet. And I'm going to just speak from there was an eyewitness there, Selena Zito, she's a journalist. She's been covering the presidents for a very long time. Very good journalist.
She's awesome.
So I'm just going to go off of her. Her piece is over at the Free Press if you want to check that out. But yeah, this was a rally on Saturday evening in Butler, Pennsylvania. So a rural township out there, and Trump was set to take the stage at 6. He starts speaking at about 6:03 p.m. and 6:11. You see that right there. He takes a bullet, we find out later, to his ear. You hear these pops start. And as you watch the footage, if you have the sound on, you'll hear 3 or 4 pops initially, and that's gunfire coming from the gunman aimed at Trump. And again, one bullet does hit him in the ear. Apparently, he now is missing the top part of his ear permanently. One of the bullets hits the dad that we just remembered. Another bullet takes out someone else. It's in severe, puts them in critical condition. After those 3 pops, you hear 3 more. Those pops are the snipers taking out the gunman. And then there's one more a little later on. That's probably just the final shot to the shooter's body. And so it's a shocking event. Shocking to see. I mean, these are common images in an election year, right? We see the crowd behind Trump, kind of the VIP section, people who knew somebody, they get to sit in the bleachers there, out in the crowd. Some of the other footage shows you people on their lawn chairs with their kids, like they just came to see Trump, see their hero, and this goes down. So it took about 2 minutes to get Trump off the stage. You see him there.
Stop right there. If we could scroll back a little bit. To I keep watching this, gives me chills every time.
Yeah.
He defies all of the orders from Secret Security here, Secret Service, to get up, blood on his face, look at everyone in that crowd and say fight 3 times. Now, I don't know how else you could describe it. That is pure courage. I mean, what can stop this guy? They tried putting him in jail. They literally tried killing him here. That's not enough. He could have easily rode off into the sunset so many times. Didn't even have to run for president. He was a billionaire. He could have just hung out in Mar-a-Lago. Runs for president. Deals with what happens there. Comes back. Literally almost has his life taken away. Yelling fight at the crowd. Talk about someone inspired by something larger than themselves. I mean, I just cannot even put into words how inspiring and courageous getting up and doing that would be. And I saw some people saying things like, you shouldn't have done that. The dumbest takes of all time. Those people would not understand courage if it literally slapped them in the face. That's exactly what this is.
Talk about like revelatory of the man's kind of basic character, because I was watching a couple of different interviews with combat veterans, and they're saying, look, when you get shot in the head, you go back to this kind of animal instinct, and there's two choices. It's fight or it's flight. And Donald Trump literally leaps to his feet. He's like resisting the Secret Service pushing him off the stage to get him to safety.
Yeah,
And
they want to kind of crowd him like a turtle.
right. And they
Yeah.
want to like throw their bodies over him, although we'll get to a minute why a couple of them were incapable of doing that.
Oh my God.
And
Yeah.
and he like he lifts up his fist and he just wants people to know he's okay. And he's like, fight. So he literally took the greater of the two roads. You can take
And
it
he's
down.
such a New Yorker. He's like, get my shoes. Like, give me my shoes. I love
Give me my
it. Like
I wanna
presentation, man. I got it.
I'm like, why did they take off his shoes? I
Let's
don't know.
get that picture.
Well, he got knocked down, you know. Like,
So there's a couple like, and Erica, you can keep explaining while we pull up these pictures.
Yeah,
There's
you're
one
good.
of the, truly this is going to hang in every dorm room in America after this, but the picture of him throwing up the fist with the flag in the background.
Yeah.
I mean,
there it is.
one of the most iconic pictures
Pulitzer
of all
Prize.
time. This is like Washington crossing the Delaware stuff, like flag in the background, just got shot, fist up.
and then one Secret Service agent she's got, you know, her shoulder down and she's kind of hunched over. It makes it give it that kind of Iwo Jima vibes. And I'm not trying to equate the two,
Yeah,
but that's
no,
why
yeah, for
that's what
sure.
it looks like. You know what I'm saying? It's like it just made it that much more of an epic look to it. I mean, it's
If
like
this doesn't make you feel something in your chest, like, are you alive?
Yeah.
Seriously, you
Right.
look at this embodies everything you would want an American to embody, like resistance, resilience, perseverance. Unbelievable. So, Erica,
no,
sorry,
in
I'm
terms
getting
of
too
the
excited.
photos, Tom. In terms of the photos, the one photo like I thought had to be fake was the bullet.
That
You
is
saw
insane. And
Yeah,
that's
we
actually
can pull that
verified.
one up.
That's
It
actually
is verified. The photographer who took it, Doug Mills, he does this for a living. He's been taking photographs for 40 years with hanging around presidents, and he got it because he's got like a 8,000. You know more about the camera stuff, but like 8,000 speed or whatever, and it's like
Yeah.
you could see he's just
Yeah, let's
holding
pull
out,
that
and
up.
he gets the photo that just nicked him and sailed past him. I'm like,
Yeah,
my goodness,
Oh, there it is. Yeah.
that is
Yeah.
insane.
So-
I mean.
For those of you that don't know, I'm a photographer. I moonlight as a photographer. First off, and I do weddings too. So like, there's so many things that during a wedding day that happen only once, and you can't rescript it. You can't come back. And this is what I was thinking of during this. Like,
Yeah, redo the event. Yeah.
to be in the right place and have the right settings on your camera, because these guys are all shooting manual, I'm sure. To get the amount of focus to hit that at the exact time is insane. Like, the fact that this picture exists is crazy to me. But
Yeah.
I
was
seriously thought it was
I was
fake
watching
when
it,
I
and
first
so
saw it.
over at the New York Times, there's actually a video. The photographer who took this, he put it. He was for the New York Times,
Right.
and so he put up a video explaining what that moment was like. And he was saying he didn't really know what was happening in the moment. He heard the pops, he knew something big, and so he already memorized the way the president would go if there were to be an emergency. So he immediately runs across the front of the stage as he's hearing the pop, and he's just click, 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 click. He
Yeah.
didn't realize till he got back to his computer later on that night that he'd actually grabbed the bullet. So, and he was just describing when
and
he
even
saw
too,
that.
like on the courage front, like there was kind of courage all around here. Of course, like when the Secret Service did eventually throw, and we're going to get into how weird all that was, but them throwing their body over Trump here, the fact that cameraman's first instinct wasn't, oh, duck, like I heard pops, instead to take this picture. Like there were so many, I feel like, providential events almost that saved his life. If he would have he turned his head, you see in the video slightly. If he would have, his head would have been where it was, it would have hit the back of his brain and he'd be dead. We'd have an assassination on our hands.
Absolutely. And can you imagine how ugly this year would be? It would be
Oh my gosh. Can't
uglier
even
than
imagine.
1968. It would have been
And-
we're an inch away from having it all hell break loose.
And people were pointing out too, this is the first major assassination attempt of the social media era. I mean, the last one I think of was Reagan, and Reagan we had video of too, but immediately,
1981 was a far different world, right?
yeah,
Very
exactly,
different
far
world.
different world going on too. So like with all the social media stuff now available, this is everywhere instantly. Like, and I think that brings up a lot of questions. So Erica, we got too excited there, I think, with the explanation. There's a lot of weird elements to this story that I think are worth talking about and are going to come out in an investigation. I mean, I went through, there was an interview with a sniper basically of like what should have happened in this scenario. So many things broke down here. Do you want to get into a few of the things that were just like really bizarre about this.
Yeah, just to
rally.
run down a few of these sort of failures on the part of Secret Service that have really come to light. And immediately, I'd say all day Sunday, we were gradually seeing more and more footage from people's cameras of the event itself. And there's footage of people taking a video of the shooter himself climbing up onto the roof from which the shooter was aiming at Trump. It's only about 130 yards from where the president was standing. So it's just a little over a football field.
Yeah, I think it was
away.
like 150, but yeah. I mean,
150.
No, I saw 130.
Slightly,
But even
You saw
so, it's a
130?
pot shot.
Yeah.
I saw 130.
yeah, I
and
mean, there's
it's a
no
pot
way
shot.
they should have
Pot
let
shot.
anyone on that dang roof. That
Right.
should have been
Right.
secured.
Right. The Secret Service snipers were stationed 430 feet away. So they should have seen this going down. Furthermore, there should have been Secret Service on that factory roof. And you can see the footage. We're playing it right here on the YouTube. And you can see where they actually have pictures of him. And you can hear in the background these bystanders yelling at police, like, he's got a gun, he's got a gun. And even like seconds before he takes the shot, you hear it again, he's got a gun, from another camera.
Yeah.
And what
Right.
people were saying is, how does this happen? This crazy. And I mean, there's all kinds of conspiracy theories going around out there. I want to say it's more just gross incompetence and probably understaffing, because
Yeah.
although the Secret Service is denying it, there are reports from legit journalists. We have a story about it in the Loop today, that the Trump campaign has been asking for more security, to beef up security, and the results have been nil. So there could have been understaffing. It could have been a DEI problem. We also have footage of the Secret Service detail on him. There are like 3 men and then 3 women who are probably my height. Trump's a really tall guy.
Yeah.
And you see them next to him. There's no way these 3 women could have covered him with their body, which is like what the Secret Service is supposed to do in a situation.
And respectfully,
like this.
why would you expect a woman to cover a man's body?
Right.
What are
Like,
we doing here in the first place? And I know
Yeah.
that the head of Secret Service has said she has these DEI quotas. She wanted to get to 30% female by a
30%
certain date,
female.
which hilarious. Like, how could we have lost the plot so much to this point where you'd even expect a woman to cover a man's body is just outrageous to me. But you get in the picture, like the woman literally hiding behind Trump and the rest of the Secret Service. So there's a women angle of that. But Josh, you actually brought this up, I think, in conversation before. Weren't there elected representatives that were trying to actually revoke Secret Service protection from Trump at a certain point?
Yeah, there was actually, I believe, 9 House Democrats that put forward a bill that would remove Secret Service protection from anyone convicted of a felony. And this was obviously this is Bernie Thompson. He's a Democrat out of Mississippi. He was head of the J6 committee. He wanted to remove Secret Service protection from Trump. And obviously he can't write it to say, get rid of it for Trump. But it's just, he basically wrote the bill in such a way that it had a category of 1. The only person that would have not got Secret Service protection under this bill would have been Donald Trump.
Right.
And so then when Bernie Thompson's like, oh, we condemn violence, this is terrible. It's like, dude, you can shut up. Because if it were if everyone had listened to you, Trump would be dead. So I don't have any. I mean, it's like, thankfully other House Democrats didn't try to advance this, and the Republican majority would have never gone for it. But again, just
Donald Trump Jr. Yeah, he tweeted that out this weekend. He was like, "If just never forget, if Benny Thompson had had his way, my dad would be dead right now." And immediately CNN jumps on him, and the New York Times, or not New York Times, it was Politico, jumped on it, and they were like, "This kind of rhetoric is just turning up the heat. It's not helpful." I'm like, the guy just almost lost his father, and yeah, he's a politician, and yeah, he's a public figure, but like, that kind of reaction to the like, shush, you shouldn't point out the obvious.
That's what
maddening.
Margaret Brennan did on CBS or whatever. She was saying basically the same thing. Like, well, it really sounded like Trump was kind of defiant, and he should have been a little bit more like, la-di-da-da-da, we need less violence and warm and happy feelings. Like, he said nothing wrong. Would you shut up? This drives me crazy. It's like, goodness sakes. And the thing is, if Biden had decided to address the country the first night, and then the second night he did as well, and he finally acknowledged it was an assassination attempt. I didn't have a problem with him not doing it the first night, because you want to get your facts, that's fine, whatever. But then he did recognize this for what it was, an assassination attempt. And you know what? Maybe Biden could have, instead of just simply calling for the temperature to cool down a little bit, maybe he could have said, maybe, I don't know, look in the mirror a little bit. Stop. Maybe he could have apologized for referring to, Trump and MAGA people as an existential threat to the country. Maybe he could have done that. How many times he's called it a legitimate threat. Not just like, he's not like vain on stuff like, hinted at rhetoric. It's like so there was some guy, who flipped his, whatever, and in Pennsylvania, and was apparently listening to this heated rhetoric. And this idea, it happens on both sides. Really? January 6th was a riot that went out of control. The only person who died was from, was
Jill Babbitt. Yeah.
Yeah, and she died from a cop. So there's no. It's not like all the January 6th rioters came in and then started shooting members of Congress. So don't pretend like that these are equivalents. A bunch of crap.
Yeah.
No, and here's the thing that people forget. Steve Scalise was elected into the House leadership in 2017, and so then he actually had security detail. Now it's nothing like presidential stuff, but he had two people with him at any times because he's, you protect the leadership on both sides of the aisle for the top 3 or 4 people in the House. And because he had two people with him that day when he went to the softball field in 2017, everyone there was alive. If they weren't, that guy with the crazy gun, the Bernie bro, would have just slaughtered like a dozen congressmen and senators. They would have been all dead, including, people like Senator Paul Rand, then Congressman Ron DeSantis. It would have been a bloodbath.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. I think
So
before
the
we get
violence
into
seems more like kind of one way to me.
Yeah, and I do want to address that in its completion. I think we have that kind of in our media reaction section. I do want to round out to what we do know now about the shooter. So Thomas Matthew Crooks, been confirmed by the FBI, was the person on the roof with the gun. He was taken out by Secret Service snipers. Now, I did listen to a good report from a member of Congress who actually was a Green Beret sniper. First off, as soon as anyone's seen on this roof and they're confirming that it's not Secret Service or not local law enforcement.
Take him out.
You get
wait.
well, not even
Don't ask
take him
permission.
out. You get Trump off the stage. There's no reason to have Trump on the stage when someone's unconfirmed like this.
Yeah.
Immediately, and then you address the threat. That's just basic protocol. So
Oh my
already
gosh,
strange. He also was on the roof when people were pointing out. They did confirm a member of local law enforcement went up on the roof and he pointed the gun at him and then he climbed down. So he took the shot. Strange. He might be the only 20-year-old of living right now that has never posted on social media.
Yeah.
Apparently he's a ghost on social media. Seemingly very inconvenient to FBI. Also,
I want to echo what you said there, Tom, because why didn't they get him off the stage right away? Now, the fact some people were kind of complaining about the cop who tried to, apprehend him that was on the roof. And it's like, he was not you're not in a position as you're trying to ascend over a roof to try to, so if he was, gun pointed right at him and shots fired, I mean, like, I get it. And that's hard to do. I don't fault that. Some people are grousing at that, but like, you're absolutely 100% right. How in the world did they not get him off the stage earlier? Like, there's a woman yelling. I've seen these videos. I'm sure everyone else has. There's a guy on the roof with a gun. Like, how did they not just go, get whatever his code name is, POTUS, get him off the stage, move him out? How did that not happen? It's because it was not like 5 seconds after that woman said it. It was like 25 seconds. There's no excuse. I cannot believe how many failures there were at this. It's unbelievable.
There's for sure going to be an investigation that goes into it. So like the sniper was saying, like I'm making conjecture basically because we don't know. It's going to be investigated. But what we do know about the shooter, Thomas Matthew Crooks, is that he's a 20-year-old from Bethel Park, Pennsylvania. They went and asked people kind of in his life what he was like. Apparently he was a member of a local shooting club. And he actually, interestingly, didn't make his school's shooting team. People said he was a bad shot. So, we saw that apparently today because by all accounts, that was a pot shot. Anyone with a rifle and decent aim should be able to make that happen. They were saying that he's a registered Republican. Interesting. I did see that he registered Republican to vote for Nikki Haley. Both his parents are registered Democrats. People were trying to use that as Republicans have a problem on their hands thing. We don't know. The thing is we don't know anything because the FBI can't crack his phone somehow, even though they had no problem doing it with J6ers. Strange how that works. He also is a ghost on social media, which is insane as
He
well.
did make a donation to a left-wing cause on the day
Act
of
Blue,
Biden's
yeah.
inauguration, right?
When he was
So
like 17. I mean, this is a kid. He
Yeah.
he wasn't even a teenager when Trump was elected the first time. So, I mean, this is just a kid.
and
And
they were saying that he got the gun from his dad or something like that. The T-shirt he was wearing was from a YouTube show called Demolition Ranch, known for guns and demolition content. People were saying he was kind of a loner in high school, but no really obvious signs. I mean, at this point, what's strange to me as well, depending on the cause, of course, we know everything about a shooter. Like we get the manifesto. I think back to like Uvalde or whatever. Only in times where it's a little strange, like the Nashville shooting, we don't get any information.
Well,
I'm
if
not
it's the
even
media
mad
narrative,
about-
we find out everything.
Right, exactly. If it's the right media narrative, it's blasted everywhere. Of course, I mean, this isn't first.
Ann Coulter got
assassination
in a lot of trouble over that a few
Yeah.
months ago,
I
when
was
she
just gonna
says,
say.
when there's a crime report, you can tell what the racial identity of the criminal is based on whether or not the media tells you in the first two graphs. Because if it's a white guy, they let you know right away, and if it's not,
They're not going to mention it.
they kind of don't ever mention it, or if they do, it's like paragraph
Yeah.
485.
I feel like this is going to be the Lee Harvey Oswald. Like it's going to be years. Like the rest of my life, there will be conspiracy theories about this, and there will be uncertainty, and there will be like this trickling out of what the FBI knew when the FBI knew it, because everything is so stage managed at the moment.
Oh my gosh, look at the president.
It kind of makes you
DOJ.
wonder, though, if you're
Yeah.
Trump, like, do I really trust the Secret Service at this point? Like, why wouldn't he get on the
No.
phone with Eric Prince and say, "Give me Blackwater. I'd rather have you guys
Yeah. He
protect
probably
me."
is.
because
Private
I don't
security
tru-
now.
How in the hell, pardon my French, can you have a roof like this 150, 130 yards away unsecured, and then some dude's on it, and how does this? That sniper probably saw it, and does he? Apparently, he has to ask for permission to.
People pointing, everyone saying, "Hey,
Yeah.
there's a guy on the roof." I mean, it makes no
With
sense.
a gun. Yeah.
Someone did bring
That's
this
need
up.
a
So
roll.
we're not going to know anything right now about the shooter, apparently, which is insane to me. But I did want to bring this up as so that now we're kind of getting into the media reaction section. And one of the best responses I've read on this was actually a letter from Donald Trump's wife, Melania. She wrote a really beautiful and poignant statement, I thought, after someone had an attempt on her husband. So I have a few statements here. When I watched the violent bullet strike my husband, Donald, I realized my life and Barron's life were on the brink of devastating change. I'm grateful to the brave Secret Service agents and law enforcement officials who risked their own lives to protect my husband, a monster who recognized my husband as an inhuman political machine, attempt to wring out Donald's passion, his laughter, his ingenuity, his love of music and inspiration. The core facets of my husband's life, his human side, were buried below the political machine. Donald, the generous and caring man who I have been with through the best of times and worst of times. Dawn is here again. Let us reunite now. A lot more poise than I probably would have had
So
if someone
classy.
took the life of my
It's very
spouse.
classy, and the thing is, what drives me kind of crazy about all this, and so many conservatives get so frustrated about it, is there is this kind of violent, dehumanizing rhetoric. You had Kathy Griffin holding up the
Oh, who could
the
forget?
mask of Trump, bloody. You had all this like assassination, like fiction stuff even in the New York Times, all these other magazines or whatever. All this stuff, basically just saying, "Gosh, wouldn't it be nice if we were rid of this orange menace kind of stuff?" And again, of course, social media, acted crazy, but I sort of expect that, But like when you have mainstream media outlets and people like Kathy Griffin, all these people are just like have a death wish, and then the media, the only way they ever report it is like, "Gosh, Republicans seem so grumpy and angry that we're talking about like possibly dreaming of assassinating their main leader." Like, gee, it just the media it's not. We always, again, if I could only impress upon people this one thing: act as if the mainstream corporate media is completely an organ of the Democratic Party. If you start to see it that way, then a whole lot of more other things come into focus. They're not umpires. They're not neutral arbiters. They hate you, and they don't care. So, I mean, you just got to get.
Speaking of Josh, let's get into that first clip I have in media reactions. This is from ABC, Martha Redatz. I can't even. We just got to watch.
We got to watch this one.
It illustrates Josh's point very well. Let's put it that way.
Also, George, we have to point out no matter who the shooter, what the shooter's motives were, no matter who the shooter is, you are going to hear conspiracy theories going forward.
No question about that. But as you point out, those statements from J.D. Vance and Vivek Ramaswamy, of course, President Trump and his supporters have contributed to this violent rhetoric as well.
Well, absolutely, George. We were just looking back this morning at some of the things that former President Trump has said. He warned last March of potential death and destruction if he were charged by the Manhattan District Attorney. Our country is being destroyed as they tell us to be peaceful. Trump in January warned of bedlam in the country if the criminal charges against him succeeded. And of course, in March, he said, now, if I don't get elected, it's going to be a bloodbath for the whole. That's going to be the least of it. It's going to be a bloodbath for the country. That will be the least of it. He said he was partly joking and that was taken out of context. But those are indeed his words. And you have heard it from supporters as well. And supporters are certainly in some parts angry. And let's remember January 6th in so many ways for the campaign. January 6th will probably be in the background after yesterday's event. This is a very difficult time for this campaign. I'm sure this week in Milwaukee that President Trump will highlight this, and President Biden is going to have to figure out how to go forward with this campaign and what exactly they say.
Unbelievable.
All right, so let me get out in front of this. It's next level dishonest because that quote everyone knows and's been debunked up and down. He was talking about the economy. You can go watch the clip. I don't even really, it's been debunked so many times. But after an attempt on his life was taken, they took the opportunity to continue that false narrative, to continue to make it seem like he's responsible for his own assassination attempt.
I mean, again, you can't teach these people shame. They have none.
You cannot despise the media enough. I mean, what could...
You think you hate reporters enough, but you do not. Here, I just put the bottom link here. There's a headline, NBC News, Democrats fret about the political fallout from the Trump rally shooting.
Oh my gosh.
See, now you start to understand the way the media thinks. They're like, oh my gosh, crap. Now that they, this attempted assassination of Trump, now he's going to win. This is terrible. This is what the media thinks about. This is your corporate media. Understand them. Understand this mentality. That's how they look. So anytime there's something that goes on, and honestly, just Google the words Republican pounce. This is so hilarious because anytime something bad happens to Democrats, then the media can't report on it because that would be terrible. They don't want their guys to look bad, and they are their guys because that's how they operate. So then the Republicans get totally like, oh my gosh, did you see what this happened with this guy over here? And then the headline's like, Republicans pounce over a scandal over a Democrat bad, Really, guys? Really? Really? Yes, really. You do not hate the media enough.
Yeah.
That's why we created the loop. I'm sick of this garbage.
Well, and the way she's talking about this, it's such a classic, like, blame the victim, what abusers do with their victims. And you think of a guy who's beat his wife for so many years and he, beat his wife and beat his wife and beat her. And she turns around finally and she's like, stop beating me or I'll leave you. And the guy's like, whoa. Like, don't talk to me like that. We're all adults here. Right. We can all tone this down a little bit. And it's just classic blame the victim. Disgusting. And she mentioned J.D. Vance too. If I could just read his tweet. This is what J.D. Vance actually said as she's accusing him of upping the bloodshed rhetoric. He said, today is not just some isolated incident. The central premise of the Biden campaign is that President Donald Trump is an authoritarian fascist who must be stopped at all costs. J.D. Vance is literally just quoting Joe Biden here. We have abortion and we have threat to democracy. That's it. That's the campaign platform. And so when she's like, J.D. Vance got on Twitter, and I'm like, no, J.D. Vance got on Twitter and quoted you back to yourself. That's exactly what happened.
Now, I'm almost at a loss for words of how ridiculous this is, but we've put people, Democrats and leftists, in a conundrum. Either he is Hitler and he is the death of the country if he gets elected, and therefore it is justified to do whatever you have to do, even if that includes an attempt on his life.
Right.
Or
this is what I don't understand.
Or
the New Republic had that cover of him.
Josh, if I could finish real quick. Either you believe that and you stick to it, and I've seen some people stick to that, and it's insane to watch that unfold. There are people celebrating the death of that guy we prayed for in the beginning of the episode insane, or you have to basically admit you don't really mean that. You don't really mean that he's Hitler. You don't really mean he's the end of the country. And you've just been using that convenient rhetoric to win you votes, basically to get up to the point of inciting death, but now having to back off a little bit. I've seen a lot of Democrats try to make a lot of this false equivalency nonsense because Nancy Pelosi came out and was like, I know what it's like. I was there in J6. My husband's been attacked. Your husband's been attacked. We're going to get into that right now by that weird underwear guy wielding a hammer in your home with bizarre, like the equivalencies being made are just shockingly outrageous.
As opposed to a
disingenuous, not even
sniper
close.
having you in his sights, like
Yes.
not comparable. Not comparable.
come on,
Nancy, time for you to shut up.
Yeah, come on, Nancy. But yeah, go ahead, Josh. Sorry to finish up.
No, but I agree with you. I mean, like this idea. I'm like, if you say that this guy is an existential threat to democracy, which is what Biden said, if you compare him to Hitler on the cover of New Republic, if you have all this sort of, daydream assassination stuff in your media outlets for so long, and then someone says, oh, okay, sounds good. The question is, if this guy's so bad for democracy, why are you praying for his recovery and
Right.
wishing him well? It's like, I agree with you. It's an incoherent statement, but again,
But isn't
if the
that
left didn't
actually,
have double standards, they'd have no standards at all.
Right.
Peeing down the navy
Isn't
pants,
that-
no one will
It
notice.
is kind of the thing, though, right? Because this is what we've been watching the last 2 weeks after, almost 3 weeks now after that disastrous debate for Joe Biden. Like, they saw that night that he couldn't win. Like, he is down in the polls. He's a terrible candidate. And the Democrats have just sat on it and said, okay, we're riding for Biden. Good old Jim Claiborne
Well-
in there. And I don't think, what if they
Wait,
really
Erika?
thought,
Go ahead.
if they really thought that Trump was a threat to democracy and that this was the end of the republic if he wins, if they really thought that, they would have gotten their act together as a party and replaced Biden with someone who could beat Trump fair and square in the polls. They didn't. They just sat on it because they don't actually believe that another Trump presidency would be the end of all things.
Right. The media
They
believed
dismissed
the
that.
Democrats' rhetoric, but the Democrats
Yes.
were like, oh, well, we were just lying.
The politicians were just like, no, we were just saying that.
We call every guy Hitler. I mean, we'll fight on.
Oh,
Whatever.
gosh. Yeah.
No, but it's interesting, though, because, the immediate, now, if you want to talk about the immediate political fallout from this, aside from, what could have been an
Would
unspeakable.
love to.
Yeah, I mean, so what happened is, reports on the Hill, senior Democrats on the Hill are basically admitting to members of the media, they're not going on the record, but they're telling people like Jake Tapper or whatnot, yeah, we've already conceded that there's going to be a second Trump term. I mean, they know it. They know it. They know it's happening. My philosophy on that, by the way, is, you know what? I don't care. I'm going to keep running this darn race as fast as I can because you never know. Because you can have sympathy. There's a woman in central Minnesota who ran for Congress. Everyone felt for her. Tragically, Patty Wetterling, her son was kidnapped, and ultimately we found out that he was murdered. And people had a lot of sympathy for her when she ran for Congress. But they're like, I have sympathy for you, but I'm still not going to vote. This is a rural area, pretty conservative. I'm not going to vote for a left-wing person just because I feel for you. So there could be some of that too. People like, I feel for Donald Trump. That was awesome. You survived. That doesn't necessarily mean they're going to change their votes. So I never bank anything. I never count anything. You run the race as hard as you will be. But I do feel, yeah. I mean, how could you not feel the electricity? This guy, he came within an inch of being murdered right in front of everyone on live TV, and he gets knocked down. He comes back up. He pumps up his
There it
fists.
is. That's
Dude,
the
It's an
photo.
electrifying moment as Americans, and you can't help but think that this guy looks to me like a leader. You compare these images, which are already iconic and awesome enough, and then you have Joe Biden with G8 leaders, walking around like a Roomba, doesn't know which way to go. You're like, this is. You have a choice, America. Which one do you guys want to lead? The other guy doesn't even know which way he's going.
Mm-hmm.
And Democrats have been trying for the last I should say the corporate media part of the Democratic Party, because it is part of the Democratic Party, have been trying for the last 2 weeks to get rid of Joe Biden and put someone else on the ticket. And I've been watching this, and I like to watch the betting markets just to get a feel for what other people are thinking. And I just was shocked out of my mind that the betting markets had it that Joe Biden had only a 30% chance of being the nominee as literally a week ago. 30% chance. I'm like, this is, in fact, it got down to 28%. I was like, I couldn't believe it. And one of the immediate fallouts after this assassination attempt is because people are already, they're like, forget it. Forget it. We're not going to try to replace Biden. We're not going to win this election anyway. Trump's going to win. So let him go up and
I've heard basically like, let's sacrifice Joe Biden. Like, we're not going to put one of our A-listers in at this point.
Right, exactly. Why swap him
over.
out for Gretchen Whitmer? Why? Well, by the way, she had 8645 on her desk. You remember that? I put that photo there too. She had that 8645. 86 is and I used to work retail. That means discontinue or 86 them, you know? Yep. 8645, 86 Trump. Get rid of Trump. Hey, we didn't forget that's my governor. So she can send out tweets about being against violence, but you know,
like,
again,
it's not cute and funny to joke about killing people. Like, no Republicans do this. Like, I don't. Maybe they do. No conservatives do. No goodwill people do. I even looked up, like, just for comparison's sake, how many times people have made public jokes about killing President Trump. It's insane. I mean, the Kathy Griffin thing is the most notable, but Johnny Depp was like, you know, what would it take to assassinate a president, basically, like that. And then George Lopez, like all these celebrities think it's like
Whoopi
cute
Goldberg,
and funny.
The View, they joke about it regularly.
How
They're
could
like, they want to push him out a window?
Why is the
This is
FBI not knocking
disgusting.
on your door? Like, you don't make jokes about killing a president. Like, that's like just something everyone knows not to do. You should not joke about killing someone. It's not cute and funny, especially from an elected representative. You have, of course, an extra level of trust put in there. Like, I'm trusting you to go represent me. Josh, one question about this too. So Reagan, after the Reagan assassination attempt, I think his poll numbers jumped up like 8 points, right? And I mean, obviously, I wasn't
60
alive.
to 68. Right.
But what was the sentiment post Reagan assassination?
Dude, I mean, I was just a little kid at the time, of course, but you know, my dad would tell me, yeah, the American people totally rallied to him, and you know, there was tough times up ahead for the country because the economy was still reeling back in '81. And there's another recession and stuff. There was a lot of hard things to get through. But one of the things about that is, if you remember, John Paul was also, there's attempted on his life just a few weeks after Reagan's on Our Lady of Fatima. And so you had these two men who had this common experience, near-death experience, where both of them came that close to death. I mean, the thing is, with the bullet with Reagan, it bounced off the wind of the car, and it came into his body kind of at a crazy angle. And so when the Secret Service patted down Reagan, they didn't think he actually got shot. And he was just kind of holding, and they put him in the car. And then he gets to the hospital, and he opens up the door, and he starts walking. And then he gets all the way through in the photos and the press. He gets through the door and then falls down. And they realize, oh my gosh, he has been shot. They didn't even know. I mean, they were patting him down. They didn't think he was. And then, you know, John Paul, I mean, he credits Our Lady with protecting him on that, you know, like, and again, you never know. Like, I mean, Senator Ron Johnson, talking about what happened on the rally on Saturday, he said, you know, it was just a couple of weeks ago, I was talking with President Trump, and I showed him this graph on illegal immigration, you know, and Trump goes, man, I love this. And so the last 3 rallies he had done, he had shown that graph, and that graph was on the big TV screen. And Trump was turning and pointing and talking to the graph. He makes that pivot, that little turn, and the bullet doesn't in his skull.
Well, Josh, do you know the date of the third apparition from Our Lady of Fatima?
I do now.
July 13th.
July 13th, 1917.
Yeah, it was 107th. And I think, like, this is, you don't want to try and, you know, discern the mind of God or anything. But at the same time, I think that there are these little signs along the way that God gives us that, you know, he has a hand in history, and all these people who think that history is just this sort of random result of all these materialistic causes and like this caused that and that caused this. There's more going on in human history. Like, you think of the Reagan assassination and John Paul II. John Paul II said, he was like, one finger pulled the trigger, the other guided the bullet. And he's referring, of course, to Our Lady, that he wasn't done yet. And you think if Reagan had died that day, that George H.W. Bush would have been president 8 years earlier. And like, what that would have totally changed that Cold War, everything.
Or
if totally different
the
man.
Pope had died. I mean, if those two men had both been killed, what could we imagine a situation where the Soviet Union is still around? I mean,
Right.
yes, you actually
Yes,
could.
you can.
I mean, like people don't understand like what we're dealing with here. You know, it's
Mhm.
Yeah, and people
crazy.
think that like I understand your hesitancy, Erica, and I appreciate it. I think sometimes people definitely go over the top. But I
God
think
told
there's
me, right? Yeah.
the other flip side of that is like we're too sophisticated and advanced to look at obvious signs. Like if you just want to take this event as a whole, there's no way that someone should have been on the roof with a rifle. No way. That's just unbelievable that actually happened. At that range, I was listening to the sniper talk about this. He's like, you could basically put that gun in the hand of a teenager, and the bullet spread on that is
Basically what it
so
was.
small, basically nothing. There's no reason he should have missed that.
And he, you
And
know, the thing
the
is, they
head
were
turn, like to believe that God doesn't interact in our lives in ways that we don't understand, I think
I
is
agree with
actually
you.
more naive than to say that he never does. You know what I mean?
Yes, Tom, I agree with you. You know, a God who cares so much about his people that he would send his own son to take human form, the great condescension. Of course, he cares about matters. It doesn't mean he intercedes every way. His intercession, you can't. I'm always cautious about how it happens. Like, but it should give you pause.
100%.
Yeah.
The thing is
100%.
that kid that shot this murderer, he was kind of hurrying because he could hear that people had seen him, and so he had a rush. If that thank the good Lord that someone turned and then people started seeing what was going on and started yelling and screaming, and that guy heard, and so he had to try to move faster. Again, you think about all the different things that had to go quote right, and how
For
easily it
Trump
could
to
have gone
survive.
wrong, and
Yeah.
we would be dealing with. Again,
can't even
it gives me
imagine.
chills to think about what this country would be looking like.
And
Yeah.
maybe
My
we go a
first,
little bit long on this episode. Sorry, just as a heads up, because there's so much here. Like we usually
Yeah,
go
there's
about an
a lot.
hour. One thing that I wanted to bring up too, Erica, and then I want to go into what you were saying. I think it's so you talk about effects. We talked about effects. One effect that I've very obviously and clearly seen is this event has removed a stigma that exists with being a Trump supporter. I think there was kind of a little general hesitancy, like, do I make public support, this and that? Okay, so social media is one thing in which I saw like an outpouring of people that I could tell probably were, supportive of Trump. Now, very obviously, this is my president. I'm support. But even on the ground, like I'm seeing like Trump flags. I did not see Trump flags in before. I'm seeing like Uber drivers wearing T-shirts. I just saw Mary Margaret Allahan, so she's in Milwaukee, saw a Trump T-shirt on an Uber driver, said, I don't care what riders think. I think this is a big step towards removing a social stigma in just being open with who you support. And then I hope the next step is there becomes a stigma with being anti-Trump, rabidly anti-Trump, that I think
Right.
we've all just kind of dealt
Right.
with and we shouldn't have dealt with. That
Yeah, we gotta turn the
it made
shame
you
thing
cool.
around.
Yeah, exactly. It made you kind of cool to be anti-Trump. It gave you social status. You could say unbelievable things like, hey, we should kill him. Or like I saw Jack Black's bandmate over the weekend said, don't miss Trump next time. Like that should be worthy of removing you from polite society.
And in fact, this morning, there was a removal of such sentiment. So CNN was reporting
Oh
that
my gosh.
they decide CNN. We're gonna get this this headline up there. Byron York's reporting here. CNN pulls Morning Joe off
I
the air.
cannot believe that.
They're apparently
I
here's the headline.
cannot.
So they're apparently worried that the Morning Joe crew might say something, quote, inappropriate following Trump
Wow.
assassination attempt. I mean, if that's not an admission that this is no longer cool, I don't know what is. That my jaw dropped when I saw that headline.
That
They
is
did what to
truly
what?
jaw-dropping because Morning Joe is the news program in the morning that is like establishment.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Biden's
100%.
favorite show. You
Yeah.
said it.
You know, and then Benny
CNN's
Thompson, I think I
bread
said
and
Bernie
butter.
at the beginning, by the way, but yeah, Benny Thompson, that left-wing nut from Mississippi that wanted to put forward that legislation to remove Secret Service protection. One of his staffers, regional staffers in Mississippi, basically said along the same things. Why did you miss? Jeez Louise. And he did fire that person.
He did fire her. Oh.
Yeah, and I saw like volunteer firefighter from the same outfit that the man who died from was celebrating it too. He got removed. I mean, all of these very obvious should be done. But so just think about the Morning Joe thing for a second though. So that's their premier program.
Mm-hmm.
They're admitting that he can't be trusted to do news on arguably one of the biggest news days of the cycle at all.
Right.
Like what is that
Not
saying?
arguably, the biggest.
The
yes.
biggest, 100% the biggest, the noisiest, like where you'd actually.
And people are thinking,
tuning
what
in.
are they gonna say on Morning Joe?
I mean, look at I'm looking at our live chat. Like, I think this is the first time we've had over 100 people live with us right now. How awesome is that? That's really cool.
Yeah.
But like, that'd be like, hey, Josh, you pull Tom because you're not sure what he's gonna say on a day where you need to deliver to the people. Like,
We can't put
crazy.
Tom out there today. Yeah,
no, Tom.
right,
This isn't a Tom. And someone did bring up 50 Cent, and maybe that's why. Yes, I've heard the song "Many Men" before, and I have seen a lot of the memes of like Trump's gonna come out to Milwaukee to "Many Men," song by 50 Cent, in which he talks about getting shot.
We
So,
can't quote the lyrics to you if you're not
Can't
sure
quote the
what they're
lyrics.
talking about.
May or
looked
may
it
not
up.
have listened to it, may or may not listen to it in the gym to really pump myself up.
Okay,
I don't
all
know,
right.
But
All right,
we're
that's
gonna
enough. That's enough.
Go off the 50 Cent train, although he actually did throw something up at his concert.
Okay.
But people are saying like, so, and one last thing I wanted to touch on, we touch news all the time. Like we're very inundated in the news cycle. We're very comfortable with like heavy topics. This is crazy to us, but I think we're maybe underestimating how broad the reach of this story is to people that are not really news people, like people that aren't in the loop every morning, or people that aren't, like, we're talking about independents here, people that maybe don't care a whole lot about politics, don't care a lot about the news. This has reach. Like, this is an event that reaches way beyond news junkies. And so the political implications of that, as you're saying, Josh, you're looking at betting markets, is insane. I mean, to think, Andrew Klavan had a great, if we could pull up that Andrew Klavan thing, I mean, this, I think, nails my sentiment here.
Mm-hmm.
So he said, I've said nothing about the attempt to murder Donald Trump because this picture says everything better than I could say it. Our government has imprisoned its political opponents and attempted to silence dissent. They've closed our homes of worship and preached fear and obedience. They've denigrated masculinity and femininity and traditional marriage and tried to elevate abnormalities by peddling graphic porn to middle schoolers, not to mention all the pride stuff at the White House. They believe killing a baby in the womb is a right and sexually butchering the bodies of children is healthcare. They've opened our borders in defiance of the rule of law, weakened our security, betrayed our allies, and coddled our enemies. They've demonized half of us for defending the rights and systems of our forefathers died for. I defy them. This is a picture of my president.
I mean,
can't say much better than that.
Can't say it better than that.
Yeah,
I do have to say, I do want to give a shout out. Well, you mentioned all the people in the comments, and the comments here are great. Thank you guys for chiming in and giving us your feedback. And Wendy brought up a good point. She said perhaps Cardinal Burke's 9-month novena to Our Lady of Guadalupe is already having an early effect. Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Amen to that, Wendy.
100%.
No question.
I was going to say, when you're saying, Tom, about like, where were you when you heard the news? I remember the 2016 election, the morning after. I'd gone to bed because I was pregnant as usual. So I was sleeping through it. I woke up at like 5 the next morning and I opened my phone right away, which I shouldn't do, but I did. And I saw, Hillary defeated, Trump wins. And my first thought is, we had a stay of execution. That was it. Like, this was God's hand. And then that was my same as my daughter's coming into me. I was finishing up dinner Saturday, cleaning up. Thought I was having my like device-free weekend that I'd scheduled for myself. And my daughter comes running in. She's like, Mom, Trump got shot. Pull up the image. I see his bloody ear. I see him getting pulled off and he's alive and he's pumping his fist. I was like, we got a stay of execution. Like, this was, again, like the hand of God. Whatever was prevented by him surviving that attempt, I don't really... We should think about it. We should, understand where we're at right now as a country. But yeah, just gratitude to our Lord for sure. For giving us the time.
Oh, you're more calm. When I got the news, when Brian, our boss, your captain, texted me. I'm a son of a sailor. I had a few choice words. So.
We won't revisit Josh's initial reaction.
We're a family show, so
you were listening to Many Men by 50 Cent.
What?
This is how great college was. So I went to college. Shout out Ave Maria University, proud Gyrene, the Notre Dame of the South, as it's known.
Yep.
And I was there in 2016.
College of the South. We got to think of a new premier college, right? That's what
Josh, stop interrupting. That's what it's called. That's how they know it. 2016, freshman in college, and we all stayed up for the election. Like, we have all these common rooms. Every common room just packed. Everyone watching this. And I do remember the moment I was with. He's actually I think he works for James Langford now. Shout out Ryan Raisins if you're listening. But he just like points at the TV like Trump just won Florida. Like when Trump won Florida, we were like, whoa, Trump just won Florida. And then there was another big state that he took down. And it was at the point where like, okay, this could actually happen. No one believed it could happen. And then once he reached the threshold, everyone went out in the quad and someone had champagne and we were all popping champagne in the quad. It was insane. One of the best days of my life.
Oh, dude, I remember that. I was with Brian and we were watching it together at a bar. We rented out a little room or whatever. And I'm looking at the numbers. I got, I'm a numbers guy. I'm a nerd on this stuff. And,
wait, you're a nerd?
Yeah. And I turned to Brian and I said, we got Pennsylvania. This isn't the bag we're going to win. He just is like, are you sure? I'm like, yes, this is happening. Get ready. He's like, and we're just like celebrating, but like we're getting ready with it. And we knew an hour before the AP reported it. I mean, it was electric. And it was an amazing night. Donald Trump is an amazing figure. And it's just amazing that this man there's something about him. He just understands the moment. Like sometimes it's kitschy and kind of goofy, and you kind of laugh at it and you laugh with him because he's in on the joke, coming down the escalator when he did for the first time announced he was running for president. It's kind of like a little over the top. But then it's like, this guy is interesting. He does rise to the occasion. He does have these great moments. And, heck, I agree with what you said earlier. I think we've got rid of the stigma. Like of course, I don't ever really care what anyone thinks, so I'll wear T-shirts and bumper stickers on my car all the day long. But other people who have a modicum of social shame, that's been lifted. People are like, this guy took a bullet. I can stand. I can put on a T-shirt. I can put on a hat.
And not only did he take a bullet.
Up.
Yeah, not only did he take a bullet, but like the style with which he took the bullet. Can I read my favorite story to come out of the whole weekend?
Sorry, before we do that real quick. Mike said pogo, but Josh is right as usual. Can we get a ban button? Let's get a ban button. Mike, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
You're testing my patience here.
We don't even know what he's talking about because it could have been about 30 different things, right?
It doesn't matter. Someone said, first for me, I usually listen to the podcast. What's up? Welcome to the live chat.
Hey.
I'm hooked. Shout out Royce.
Hey, Royce.
It is a party in here.
It is a party in here. Always a party in here, Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
Fun.
So, hey, if you're listening to this right now and you want to join us, hit that subscribe button. We're going to be here. Turn on those notifications. We're here every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. A lot of fun things coming up. We're going to be covering the RNC convention. Everyone's coming into town. We're going to do one where we're all together for the Eucharistic Congress. It's going to be a lot of fun. So this is my pitch here. Join the YouTube. Subscribe on your podcast if you're listening here. We're so happy to have all you guys. I promise we have this level of fun almost every episode. Sometimes Josh is a little grumpy, so we bring it down a little bit. But when Josh is in a good mood, it's pretty sick. So Erika's usually the star of the show.
And I just want to answer this question from Jan in the chat. Like, her concern is that they want all the illegals to vote, which is what they do want, and that it's going to be that much harder for Trump to be able to win it. I mean, look, that is a concern. But I tell people, what do you need to do? You need to pray, you need to fast, and you need to vote. And you need to let your friends get them all on the same page. Get that ballots in. And I tell people, I got my absentee ballot right over there. Get your ballot in, hand it. I prefer to deliver it in person. But yeah, absolutely. You know what? A guy who takes a bullet, I'm not going to ever be in a situation where I have to explain to somebody on November 9th that I forgot to vote.
Oh, man. That's
no excuses, people. Nothing.
No excuses.
So I apologize profusely, Erika, for interrupting.
You don't have to apologize. That was awesome.
What were you saying?
No, you did a great job. No, I just wanted to share. This is probably Twilight Zone, but I'll just go early. So this was the PGA Tour. This had Reagan vibes. For those of you who are Reagan fans, this had Reagan vibes. So the PGA Tour posts this. It was on Reddit, and it was this story from one of the guys who works at Trump's golf course, and he wrote, "This is awesome. I'm a cart boy at Trump Bedminster, where Trump played today, Sunday, just 16 hours after getting nearly assassinated. He was in high spirits, which was great. Took time to chat a lot with the staff, allowed us to follow him for a bit. There was a decently big group with him. Anyway, I was able to watch him putt on the 9th green. He had about a 20-footer with probably 2 feet of break.
That's a bomb, by the way. For all the non-golf people, that is a bomb. I don't think I've ever made it that far.
That's hard.
Insane. Okay.
So sure enough, Trump drains it and goes, quote, "Difference between me and the shooter is that I don't miss."
Are you for real?
Like, that is so awesome.
I think I've seen it in a lot of places.
This guy knows how to do it all.
And the greatest thing is like I could totally see that. I really hope that's real. I know people
I
find it from
really
Reddit, but I just like imagining that that's
If
real
it's
in
an
my
urban
head.
legend,
Who
so
cares,
be it.
dude?
But it sounds great.
It's
Trump
one of
on
those
the golf
stories
course.
that's too good to verify, right? Like,
I know,
if it ain't
yeah, I
true,
just
don't
wanna
tell
believe
me.
it.
I want to know.
So good.
Yeah.
Okay, but before we get into the rest of the Twilight Zone, although I did love seeing that story. So the Trump docs case, gone.
Gosh. Yeah.
The only explanation is Trump is touched by God. Seriously, like, how are you tired of winning it? I mean, since this was considered the strongest case against Donald Trump, and it has just been thrown out over the appointment of special counsel Jack Smith, which we all knew was a sham, for sure. All knew was politically motivated. But to see this come down now, I mean, this is kind of breaking news. We saw this right before the show. I don't know, Josh, if you got any extra color on it. Eric, if you got an extra color on it. But this is big news for Trump legal team.
No, this is huge. So this was the Florida case and all the indictments that he's been facing. This was the Florida case, and Judge Aileen Cannon dismissed the classified documents case against former President Trump. And like you said, citing a violation of the appointments clause of the Constitution over the appointment of Jack Smith. Oh, Josh has, just let me finish it. And then you go ahead. What's up?
It's a federal case in Florida. I
In
just want to
Florida.
make sure
This
it's
is
not
the
a state
Florida
case.
case. Right. So there's the New York case where he was convicted. We've got the Florida case here. And Trump had been accused of hoarding these troves of confidential classified documents at Mar-a-Lago. That was the famous raid that the FBI carried out on his estate. And so, yeah, this is big and definitely needs some time to digest and process exactly what it means. But yep, this is hashtag winning. We just keep going here. So that's another case dismissed. We'll see what happens from there on out.
That was the first and biggest mistake of the Democrats, was to raid Mar-a-Lago. To me, that's where it all changed. That's where all the momentum from J6 completely flipped. And like, wait a second, why is this guy doing this?
Yeah.
So, okay. So, Erika, do you have any extra Twilight Zone before we?
I do. I have a thoughtful one with which to end the Twilight Zone. If you wanted to
okay.
go have a thoughtful
I appreciate the
ending
heads
to
up
the
on that,
show.
because
Okay.
sometimes we don't order.
It's very
them
contemplative.
very well.
Yeah. So we'll end on a high note.
Josh, are you prepared?
Yeah, I got a little something to share
Okay.
here. I mean, the memes have been just funny to watch, because the left-wing media has been so insane and stupid, so that you just have to mock these people, and humor is the way you need to do it. And so Elon Musk tweeted this out. I thought this was pretty funny. Mocking CNN's headline coverage. It shows the assassination of Caesar injured in a group hug.
Oh my God.
Because you had these reports in media were like, Trump falls off stage,
Hard
and they're
fall.
like, they're totally like, dude, it was an assassination attempt. He got hit in the ear, like it was an inch away from just killing him. And they soft pedal these headlines. My brother, he's like, he texted me, he's like, I found out about this from your son, who texted me about this. He goes, he's a businessman. He's used to getting alerts from Wall Street Journal, New York Times, all this stuff. He goes, I never got any alert on this at all. And it's like, isn't that kind of crazy?
Secret Service rushes Trump off stage after he falls at rally, as a CNN headline.
That was
Are you
so
serious?
He falls at rally.
Oh my gosh. I saw one. It's like, we need to wait for the experts to verify. I was like, yeah, that's exactly.
So, by the
what
way,
we
if
do.
you'll notice during some of that raw coverage of the cameras panning the crowd afterwards, you see several people who see the cameras and they just start screaming and giving the middle finger at the cameras. Look, I get it.
I feel the feels on that one. Yep.
Yeah.
Because I don't think I would. I probably would too.
The Babylon Bee had a couple of good headlines. They were talking, I think they did like if CNN covered historical assassinations, and they were talking about when Abraham Lincoln was killed by Lee Harvey Oswald. It's like, oh, Lincoln fell asleep during, or what was it?
Booth.
Oh, John Wilkes Booth. Yeah, it was like Lincoln fell asleep during play.
Yeah. Yeah, it was like John F. Kennedy slumps in seat.
Yeah, right. It's like you laugh or you cry. You literally laugh or you cry. I
Or
don't
you
know what
just
else to
get
say.
mad. Or you just get mad. Yeah.
All right, so yeah, I mean, we all knew it was coming.
But what we need Elon. Thank goodness Elon Musk. Now he's got his faults. I'm not saying he's perfect, but thank the good Lord that Elon Musk bought Twitter, so we could actually get information. And because we knew what they did before he was around, and how much censorship they did on COVID and all that other kind of stuff, and on a laptop. Imagine what they would have done on this. They would have said, "Oh, we got to shut everything down."
Yep. Also, shout out to Mike. Well, actually, dang it, is it the Mike I wanted to ban?
Yeah,
possible.
it is.
He said, remember
Same.
the Central Park play when they used a Trump lookalike as Caesar? I do remember that, and I totally forgot about that until now.
That's what I was saying, right? Yeah,
more
they
than
covered
violent.
that in the New York Times.
All right,
yeah.
Mike, you're back in my good graces for now. Keep it tame in the chat.
Right, but while we're on memes, did you see the
Ooh.
perfect meme? Did you
I
see?
do love memes.
Okay, I threw the perfect meme in the chat there for you, Simon. So
Oh
if you
yeah,
could
we got
pull
it.
that up. We just got to do the. Okay, here we go. we got baby Mel Gibson. Me voting for Trump in 2016. Baby Mel Gibson. Me voting for Trump in 2020. The Patriot. Me voting for Trump in 2024. Braveheart. I love this. I just love that so much.
Credit to me for getting Braveheart in the draft, in which I totally won, no question, dominated that draft.
I think I won that.
Yeah, I was vindicated in the draft.
Look, it's under contention right now. We'll
you
do
saw
another
the
one.
comments.
Yeah,
Right.
whatever, Josh. Okay,
I'm
so
a man of the people. What can I say?
Fox Populi. Okay, so I have mine here. So I have okay. Just trying to center myself before this one. So sometimes there's people online that I'm not sure if they're intentionally trolling or they're serious. Like I have a lot of those moments, and that feels very Twilight Zone. So today's I have this guy I found. His name is Father Bruce Wilkinson, and his handle is Padre in Atlanta. So I have not seen a worse take from a priest on this app. I looked him up. Don't worry, I got the full story, but let's get the original take. Do we have that pulled up here? Okay. Here's the tweet. Sadly, instead of cooperating with the Secret Service agents as they tried to shield him from further harm, in pure Trump form, he was busy promoting himself and possibly endangering the agents and himself from more harm. Jeez, exclamation point. I mean, you just...
Worst take ever.
bad take. Almost to the point where I'm like, is he just trying to make people mad? And I went through his profile, and I actually don't think so, because it was very consistent with a lot of the other things he was saying. I don't even know if I need to get into why that was wrong. I mean, a horrible take, because again, I don't think liberals understand courage. The virtue properly understand is courage.
How important it was to reassure the audience he was okay.
No, well, Josh, that's selfish. He's promoting himself after getting shot. Only to follow it up with arguably a worse tweet. So the second tweet here is, and just in case anyone didn't remember or have been preoccupied with other news, happy #Bastille Day, #France.
Okay.
Erika, you're pretty educated.
Yeah.
Bastille Day, not a chill day for Catholics, from what I remember. I remember in my history textbooks, maybe they've changed since then. I think 20,000 to 40,000 Catholics were murdered, 2,000 of them being clergy. This was considered the start of the French Revolution, and the revolutionaries sought the destruction of the Catholic Church.
Yeah, this would be the time when the altar of Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris was stripped of all imagery of Christ, and there was a big goddess of reason idol put upon the altar. It was not an auspicious day for.
Yeah.
The Carmelite nuns, the martyrs.
So someone was with me in the comments reading this, was like, I need to brush up, but I didn't think it was that chill. Someone commented, I thought Bastille Day was a bad day for Catholics, and it was liked 182 times. And then he responds under, slavery was bad, but many Catholics embraced doing it. No likes on that one. Many comments. That's what we call a ratio in the Twitter days.
Yeah, so this person sounds like a communist. So.
Yeah. And so I was like, okay, this guy's a priest. So I looked into him a little bit, because I'm like, really, this guy's a priest? He's retired, still wears a collar, and he was in the Diocese of Atlanta. And I was like, man, does anyone is he published anywhere? Is people taking him seriously? Sure enough. You want to guess who he's written for?
National Catholic Reporter.
Good guess, but no, the other one.
America
Magazine.
America Magazine.
Well, I thought since he's diocesan, they wouldn't, but yeah.
America Mag, he writes about race. Any surprise to that? Not a big Trump guy, clearly, but also not a big history guy. Or maybe not a fan of Catholics. I don't understand.
Maybe just like Catholics. That might be
let me palate cleanse really quick before we get into Erika's. So we have the final tweet someone brought up, thank goodness, on this. I recall the subsequent period known as the terror ended after Carmelite nuns of, Erika, can you pronounce that French word?
Compiègne.
Thank you.
No, I don't know. I made that up.
Were martyred and were bravely sent to the guillotine singing hymns soon after Robespierre took his turn. So a little inspiration for us there. Many martyrs during that event. Pray for us all here. So yeah,
Yeah,
just double
awesome.
takes. That's all I
Oh
got to
my
say.
gosh. And those French nuns, everyone, if you don't know their story, check out Song at the Scaffold. Great book about it. Very inspirational. All right, I'm going to try and end on an inspirational note as well. So things are a little hot historically right now. It can feel like things are falling apart a little bit. But I wanted to point everyone, this is a quote from St. John Henry Newman, one of my favorites. He's kind of hard to read sometimes, but I'm going to do my best to make this interesting. Robert Royal posted this over at the Catholic thing this morning. Really, really great. So when times are tough, how are you going to keep your equilibrium? And we try to do that here on Loopcast by keeping our sense of humor and, recalling that God is in charge. Christ has won the victory. So here's from John Henry Newman. He said, "See that you are not unsettled by worldly change. This is the danger, fear becoming unsettled. Consider that stability of mind is the chief of virtues, for it is faith that will keep him in perfect peace whose mind is stayed on thee because he trusts in thee. This is the promise. Do not indulge visions of earthly good. Fix your hearts on higher things. Let your morning and evening thoughts be points of rest for your mind's eye, and let those thoughts be upon the narrow way and the blessedness of heaven and the glory and power of Christ your Savior. Thus will you be kept from unseemly risings and fallings and steadied in an equable way." So British, but so true. So again, yeah, things are crazy on Twitter. Put it away. Start your morning with prayer, end your night with prayer, and all shall be most well. So that's just after a crazy, crazy weekend, had to remind myself about that a few times.
Amen. Amen to that. Well, thank you guys for joining us on the live stream. I saw a lot of extra comments. Shout out Kate. First time catching us live here. That's
hey,
awesome. Kate. What's up? A lot of really positive comments. Thank you so much for joining us here live. We really appreciate having everyone in the chat. And thank you to everyone who listens to the show, supports us. If you want to continue to get this right to your YouTube, you can subscribe here. You can put on notifications, leave us a comment, leave us a like. That helps out the show a ton. If you want to email me, loopcast@catholicvote.org. I'm sure I'm going to have some emails piling up after this one, but I love hearing from you guys. So if you want to email us, that's where you can do that. The best way to support us is to become a champion. That's where we have our monthly donors. You get nice perks. It's the only way we're able to do this show. We're completely user supported. So you can do that at catholicvote.org/champions. And thank you to everyone who already is a champion or has donated Catholic Vote. We appreciate you guys so much. We have a big week coming up.
Pray for all of our safe travels.
Yeah, so we're all getting together. We have the Eucharistic Congress. There's going to be some fun stuff coming out of that. We also have coverage of that RNC speech, Trump's speech. We're going to do that on Thursday. We'll be live. You'll see the notification. I'm going to prep you guys for that. We'll talk again about it on Wednesday, but we will be live for that on Thursday evening. So if you want to join us for that coverage, you want to hang out with us, kind of like we did for the debate. It's going to be
a little
another
bit different, but yeah.
Let's talk.
Yeah, we're going to be there.
But we're going to have fun.
It's going to be a lot of fun. But yeah, pray for the program. St. Thomas More, Our Lady of Guadalupe, and St. Fidelis, pray for us. And we'll see you guys on Wednesday. Fun show today. Have a great day. Peace.